but never told them. And it was a big issue. It was a really offensive thing that was like inside their heart. And then one day decided like to go up and confess it to the person and receive forgiveness and like work it out. But that other person never knew she felt that way. So it was like opening up an offense for that one because she thought everything was fine. But that girl felt like she needed to confess it when it actually, it kind of made things worse. Because, like, if Sharon and I think we have a great relationship and there's nothing between us bad, and then all of a sudden I confess to her that, like, I've had these terrible feelings towards you, and I thought this bad thing about you and this bad thing about you, it almost opens up a chance for her to, like, be like, wow, you're a jerk, Whereas if I just had God deal with, I think you need to know if God wants you to like approach the person about it, or if he just needs to deal with you, and then you guys just go about your good relationship, because it made it worse, I think, between these two people. Because the lady was like, wow, I didn't know you felt all these terrible things toward me, and I had been an angel to you, But, yeah, so that was an instance where I was like, she probably just should have let God deal with her and leave it at that. Because the issue was inside of her anyways. So, I don't know. If she felt like she needed to, that's up to them. I think their relationship's good now. But, yeah, sometimes we need God to just deal with us, and sometimes we do need to involve the other person and go to them and ask for forgiveness. But we can't be afraid to do that. Can't be afraid to be, that's a level of confrontation, It might be awkward, but it'll be worth it.
Oh, it's scary, but
yeah.
It just makes everything so much better afterward.
Yeah, and there's so much more freedom in your relationship, too.
Yeah, and something that I always learn, too, and I've learned this from personal experience, too, like, when you go through conflicts with somebody, it just, after you resolve it, sometimes you can grow closer from it because you go through something together, and, the love is just genuine there.
Yeah.
Because you were able to overcome a
Yes, definitely. So. Definitely. That's so true. And definitely is the case with marriage. So, well, hopefully. That's why whenever people are like, oh, we never fight or whatever, I'm like, that's kind of bad. Because what all are you holding in? But yeah, well, when I hear like fights and stuff, I just heard of like my sister was fighting with her husband. I'm like, that's good. At least you're saying stuff, At least you're talking to each other and working it out. Because keeping it in is not good. Doing tea kettle anger is not good. Work it out, even if you're shouting at each other for a period of time, working it out, like what Kennedy said. Communication is key. And once you're past it, you're stronger for it. Yeah. Solutions to tea kettle anger. Understand that you are responsible for your own choices and responses. Do not blame your parents, heritage, society, or God for how you are and how angry you are. The world isn't fair. Accept it. Take it to the cross and leave it there. The lid must stay off of our kettle. We must keep our kettle empty. Pour it out into God's pool of grace. The pressure cannot build. So yeah, I think that's...
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, and just deal with it as it comes. You're responsible. No one, I love that. No one makes you angry. You choose to be angry. So don't blame other people for this anger that you have inside of you, because things aren't fair. It's not supposed to be easy, and we were never promised that it would be fair or easy. So you're responsible for yourself and your actions. No one makes you do anything. As I could say, well, it's fine that I wrote all those terrible things about my stepmom because she's, Satan incarnate, whatever. Because she was a terrible parent. To an extent, there's a verse that says, "Don't provoke your children to wrath." But okay. So it's still my choice to write those bad things, and I didn't have that's not how it should have been dealt with, and I shouldn't have said those things about her. So I should not blame her for my choice to sin and write those things. It was still my choice to do that and to be angry. Or, you're making me so angry, you're making me so mad. No, you're choosing to be mad. Meekness is the opposite. Meekness is when all those things are happening, or that's why I have a picture in here, I think, of all these people yelling at somebody, and they're just kind of sitting there at peace still. This is like, let me see where it's at. I'll go back. No. A meek person. Well, I guess I chose a different photo. I had one of a lady where she was just kind of sitting there and everyone's yelling around her. This person is having all these people handing her papers and like, this is what time it is. Someone's calling. You need to look at this. So a meek person trusts in the power of God to provide, protect, help, and change circumstances. A meek person has a divine perspective on life. A meek person is submitted to the will and purpose of God. A meek person has yielded their rights to God and is humbly patient or docile, even if provoked by others. Calm in the chaos is that's my definition. Because the actual definition of meekness is humbly patient or docile, even if provoked by others. But the easy thing is being calm in chaos. That's the easier definition to remember.
I'm not even gonna lie, just that picture kind of makes me mad.
I know, right?
Well, she just kind
I'll
of
be like, shut up. Yeah.
She looks like she's fixing to kill
Everything's
everyone.
fine.
Yeah.
She's being passive aggressive, huh? She has this list of.
She's trying really hard.
She does look
Not to
dead
snap.
inside.
Yeah.
Her heart just got so callous that, like, look at her. She's like, this has been my life every day for 20 years.
Oh my gosh. She looks like she's 20 years old.
I know. That's what the heck? But look at her face, though. Am I wrong?
As a baby, all
She's like, this is all I do now. This is me.
This is my life.
I sit here and solve problems.
Oh yeah, so this is the definition. Went back a couple slides. Definition of meekness: humbly patient or docile when under provocation from others. It means trusting God to take care of my life, my desires, my possessions, and my rights. And we usually cling to two rights: our reputation and our possessions. That's why I have this picture of this girl with all of her. This was there's actually a ton of these online. This was a photo shoot done where they had these people take everything they owned and put it in one corner of this room and take a picture of it. It was like all of their stuff is in one picture. So it was kind of cool. There were like 5 of them to choose from, and I liked this one. So it was really cool. Everyone's stuff all piled up. But so it's all her possessions there. We cling to our possessions and our reputation. What's ours, we feel is rightfully ours. Even our loved ones. And so meekness means trusting God to take care of those things, and not thinking that we have to have control over them. Our desires, our possessions, our rights, that we have. It's knowing that we don't have to guard those things. That ultimately everything that we have is God's. That kind of goes back to Job. Ultimately all of that was God's, and all of it was taken away, and Job still did not curse God. And he, gave it back to him multiple times over. But
I do pretty good about trusting God, with my life and stuff. But I am not hard to provoke. I'm only I do one of those things. I do the trust part. But does that mean that? That's confusing to me. I don't know. I don't like that.
I know what you mean.
I don't like that.
what are you trying to? What's your way of saying it then?
I'm pretty good about trusting God, but I'm not hard to provoke at all, and I don't understand where that leaves me. Because it's I am meek, but at the same time I'm not meek. But, I wouldn't consider myself meek because I'm not hard to provoke. But
Well, what's the root of that then? Why? What is it that you're why? Why are you hard to provoke? What is the thing that you're trying to protect, or are you trying to protect your own? You say your life. I mean, your own heart, your own. Circumstances. Your rights,
See, and that's the other thing. I don't really care about what I have, and I'm not I don't really care about my reputation. I mean, to be honest, I don't really care what anyone thinks of me like ever, but I do. The only thing I do up there is like I'm pretty good about being like, all right, God, well, I need this right now, so I know you're gonna do it. But like when it comes to getting in arguments, I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself patient or docile. You know, it's confusing me because it seems like I don't know. I guess it's just.
I think. Oh well, I think maybe we should go back to
I guess it's
the
just
day in
trying
court
to figure out
anger.
what I am, but.
Go back really fast to this. Okay, so the day, it's kind of like, I think what you're saying kind of reminds me of this, so I'm going to make sure I go over it. The day in court anger is more sophisticated, more acceptable, and more dangerous. It simply demands and moves to protect its rights, often surfaces in the form of retaliation, contention, competitiveness. It flares when rights are violated. It feels justified in its anger. It infers that if we had our day in court, we would win. So if I had to go up against you, I would win, verbally, physically, either of those. You've had your day in court and you lost. Proving your point, being right, doesn't matter. You've been bought and paid for with a price. You're not your own. God owns your very life, your reputations, your time. Recognize that it is not your job to protect your rights. It is His. What?
Is it bad that I just read the first line? I was like, bet. It's like, I read it as if, like, you were talking to me, like, yeah, you had your day. You just, yeah.
You lost.
Stuck it left, you lost. And I was like, bet.
Yeah, see? No, yeah, exactly. If I had to go up against this person in whatever that we're arguing about, I would win. That kind of competitiveness that, I could out-argue you, I could out-punch you, whatever.
Yeah, but there's a healthy competitiveness, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the backing of it isn't anger,
Yeah. It's knowing that you're better than that. No.
Well, I mean, at what, though?
The problem is
Yeah.
if there's in a competition, if you're get upset when something is done wrong to you, or you think they've violated some sort of rule or some right that you have.
Or your
Now-
pride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you start to get angry at the refs. or
Oh
whoever,
my gosh,
That's,
last year.
that's the problem.
See, like, whenever I say reputation, that can also mean your pride. Your, like, how you see yourself, how you hold yourself. I mean, because, for example, I mean, I was playing just a simple, like, board game with somebody one time, and they did something to win, and I was just like, I know I'm good at this game. I'm good at this, and I win most of the time. And so then whenever they won, and I felt like they even, like, did it the wrong way, I was just like, super upset and angry at that person. It's just a game,
That's how
but
I am with
whatever.
Monopoly. Monopoly's horrible.
Yeah,
Only because it takes 9 hours to play a freaking game.
yeah.
That too.
I won't play those.
bad.
Little
Like, you
kids
see
always want to
yourself
play
lose.
that when I babysit them. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I won't. I don't like those types of board
It takes too
games.
long.
Yeah,
But-
it's not even fun. It's like, oh, you just bought Park Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay. That was super exciting, I guess.
I don't actually own it. If I owned an actual park, I'd be excited, but
Ready to come back?
You got 300 Monopoly dollars. It's like, oh, let me just fold these up and stick them over here under the board where my bank is.
yeah. So like, I mean, for example, Jesus was having all those insults hurled at him. Do you know how many things he could have thrown back in their face? How many verses he could have been like, actually, I'm this, and actually, I'm gonna do this, and actually, I'm gonna win in the end. In the end, I'm victorious, not you. Even though you guys think you're all high and mighty right now, and I'm the one bleeding and covered in rags. Like, he had to go through that knowing that he was the name above every name. He answered back. He answered nothing back whenever he was attacked, and gave up his reputation in that moment, obviously, for us. If he would have let his pride get in the, if he would have been prideful, it would have been so much easier. I mean, I can't imagine being on the cross, knowing you could call legions of angels down to like come rescue you, and then let everyone see you, you know, ascend into heaven with all these angels and be like, screw you guys, you know.